Oh, my goodness. The rumors just continue to run wild. And hopefully some answers are coming your way here on KCMO Talk Radio. Johnson County Chairman Mike Kelly is joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. We're always streaming, of course, on the app, on your Alexa, and on your Google Home. Mike, good morning. It's great to have you back on the show. Let's start there, and that is with the Royals, maybe even the Chiefs. But the Royals seem to be getting more attention when it comes to a potential Johnson County location. What have your conversations been with the team up to this point?
Well, Pete, happy 2025. Thanks for inviting me back on. It's good to talk to you. Really good to talk to you. It's getting a little warmer outside. And I know you've already mentioned the thought of baseball and summertime and the good things that are coming to our region. And so I'm glad to be joining you. I know you love breaking news, but unfortunately, I'm going to be a little boring this morning. I'm not going to be able to discuss any particular sites with you. I think that's unfair to the team as they go through their evaluation process. But, as I've mentioned all along, we're a sports town. We're going to support both our Chiefs and our Royals. And, they're really just valuable to the fabric of our community. It's a priority for all of us across the region to keep them here and make sure that they find the right homes that anchor them to the metro region for the next 50 years. So that's an important process, and I appreciate that both teams are taking the time to get it right.
Well, what about what's fair to the residents who could end up with a ballpark in their backyard? Is it fair to them to maybe share some information on where these teams are looking?
Well, I think as we think about how all of our communities have continued to grow, it's important that we communicate with our residents, right? We want to have good conversations about how we grow our community. And, being a local kid that grew up here, I've seen a lot of change. I grew up down by Leawood City Park, and I remember distinctly this time of year, we'd walk down to the park and feed horses at Saddle and Sirloin. And there was nothing south of that. Like, that seemed almost the end of the world, and the next thing was Oklahoma. And now you see beautiful Mission Farms. You obviously have seen the continued development of Leawood and other places to the south where Leawood City Park kind of feels like Midtown now. So the only constant that we've seen in the metro region is change. And as we continue to develop, it's absolutely important that we keep our residents, our businesses, our schools, our churches, everybody in the conversation as we try to build out the community for the future. Luckily, we're seeing good luck with that growth in Johnson County. I know one thing that you'll want to talk about is appraised value notices. Those are hitting mailboxes these days. A couple high notes that you may not notice when you look simply at your residential valuation. The county experienced over $1 billion of new commercial construction last year. That's a great increase. And luckily, that broadens our tax base so that hopefully, in partnership with some of our municipalities, our schools, our state, we can find a way to stem the tide on property taxes and allow things to be a more natural progression in people's future for Johnson County.
Mike Kelly is the Johnson County Chairman on KCMO Talk Radio. And yes, we will absolutely get into that. But just to also continue the conversation on the Royals, is there a way to get the Royals into Johnson County without having a vote of the taxpayer?
So I think what you've seen is the state's been supportive. They've stepped up with the STAR bonds, and I appreciate that. When a vote failed in Jackson County, we wanted to make sure that on the Kansas side of the state line that we showed support for these franchises, the Royals and the Chiefs, because they're an important asset to our community. So I think that could be a big help to get a solid foundation for the teams. But in terms of the details, you're going to have to talk to the teams on that.
But is there a component to this that can be provided by Johnson County that is available to the teams? Is there a commission or a fund that they could theoretically use to locate in Johnson County?
So from the Johnson County government,
yes.
No, there's not a sports fund like you see that the sports gambling may be paying for in the state of Kansas. Now, all municipalities, counties, states, everybody has certain economic development tools that try to help pencil the opportunity to bring in great economic development opportunities and therefore bring in jobs and revenue and residual growth to our communities. Panasonic's a great example. That project took partnership from the state, but it also took partnership from the county and the city of DeSoto. But even before that facility is open, we're already seeing benefits therefrom. DeSoto's about to cut its property taxes by a third, and the facility's not even open yet. And that's because of that residual growth that has come around the facility. So while you might not see as much of a direct impact because of some of the economic development tools directly from that project, it's the holistic look at economic development, residual growth, and that ripple effect that's seen positive returns for that part of the county, and it's a project we're really proud of.
Can you promise the residents of Johnson County that if there is a time when the Royals are looking at this county and want to play baseball in this county, there will be a conversation around it, there will be some kind of member community input on it, or is it just going to be we're going to wake up one day, the Royals are going to announce that they've picked a location in Johnson County, and they're going to get all these different abatements from the states and the counties and the cities, and that's going to be that? Will there be anything and any input welcomed by the citizens beyond just some announcement that basically means the door's shut on everything?
Anytime we bring in an opportunity for economic development in our community, anytime we're going to repair streets, anytime we're going to talk about how we're going to prepare for the World Cup, that's an important community conversation. Residents need to be heard, and there will absolutely be forums to talk about the buses that we're going to take from Johnson County to the airport in advance of FIFA coming in June of 2026. When we grow the New Century Commerce Center out in Gardner, there's a community conversation. There's been a lot of great community conversations about rural area development plan in and around Panasonic. Community feedback's important to us, and we look forward to continuing that trend with whatever's to come in Johnson County's future.
Now, on the evaluations in Johnson County that have come out, you noted that there's been $1 billion in new commercial construction, and what was the timeline on that, you said?
That was just last year. That was just in 2024.
Okay, so that was just in 24. Now, I know there's always been a push from folks that say commercial means that we can keep, hopefully, residential taxes lower. How do you foresee the development of commercial construction leading into potentially not increasing taxes, or at least limiting the increase in taxes at the county level for residents?
Well, it's about broadening the base. We don't want to live in a mindset of scarcity. I'd rather live in the mindset of abundance. Let's find more opportunities for the kids that go through the great Johnson County Public Schools. Let's find great career opportunities for everybody. Let's welcome folks from around the region to Johnson County, which is the economic engine of the state. Being able to grow business opportunities here, to be able to participate in what I think is a great trend of reshoring domestic manufacturing, bringing that high-skilled manufacturing to America. Johnson County is a perfect home for that, and we're starting to see benefits because of that. You increase new housing. We need new housing in Johnson County. Yes, we need workforce housing, but we need all kinds of housing. It's a supply-demand issue. If we can increase supply, that is going to hopefully stem the rapid increase in demand that we've been seeing because homes are at a premium here. Last year, the average home value in Johnson County was over $500,000. And we know that that's very difficult for folks who are on a firefighter's salary or a teacher's salary, or some of the kids who grew up here and want to come back and start their lives here, start a family, buy a home. That's a high price tag. So by welcoming new businesses and growing a tax base, bringing in new housing, we can hopefully grow a base that would allow us to spread out the cost of important government services like public safety, like EMS, like roads and bridges and wastewater, those kind of fundamental things that make the quality of life so good in our community. And so if we can have more things to put into the coffers, we can hopefully then stem the tide of increase of property taxes. I know we saw those two big spike years in 2022 and 2023. I felt them too. Luckily, last year and this year, we're seeing kind of a second year of normal growth, consistent with pre-pandemic values. So that's a good trend to see, kind of getting back to normal, that between 5% and 7% growth in our home values, which for a lot of people like me, that's an important investment. We want to see that appreciate, but we have to see that balance because of the state laws that says we have to appraise these homes between 90 and 120% of their value for assessment. So we're going to follow the laws that the legislature sets there.
Mike Kelly is Johnson County Chairman on KCMO Talk Radio. And you're right. I mean, they certainly aren't as big as they were a couple of years back. The county is sitting at about, $500 million in reserves. So what's the appropriate number that you think this county needs for reserves to where taxpayers don't feel like you guys are sitting on a mountain of the taxpayers' money?
Well, I'm happy to get in the weeds with you anytime, Pete. I do not want to put people to sleep at 8:15 in the morning, but what I can say is many of those reserves are spoken for. There's for specific projects in our capital improvement plan as we continue to try to maintain the roads, bridges, facilities that serve people in Johnson County every single day. And a certain level of reserves is necessary so we can keep that AAA bond rating. I am so proud Johnson County has kept that for 17 straight years, and we have saved tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in interest payments because of that AAA bond rating. And so keeping that good percentage of bond ratings that our agencies look at and see and can trust the financial health of our community, that's fiscal stewardship that I'm proud we continue.
So what is that number that you feel like you need to keep in reserves to keep that AAA bond rating?
Well, I know at the end of the day, after things are spoken for, we have to keep over a 25% level. But the devil is in the details when you talk about what reserve is a free reserve as opposed to something that is supporting wastewater capital improvement or our sheriff's department and their equipment reserve fund. So a lot more detail to that to just throw one number at you. But, 25% is an important threshold.
25% of what?
25% of our ad valorem tax revenue.
Which is what number?
Expenses. And so, again, Pete, happy to dive into the details.
I'm just looking for a number. That's all. So basically, it helps me too, right? So when people ask me, hey, why do they sit on $500 million in reserves? I can say, hey, they need X amount of dollars to be sitting there, to keep the AAA bond rating. Is it $100 million, $200 million? I mean, it helps me. It helps you too to just have a number.
No, sure. And Pete, I appreciate that. We're going to see a proposed budget from the county manager here in March. And that'll give you an exact figure of what we feel is a competent reserve that protects our AAA bond rating, that allows us to have a rainy day fund if we do see a correction in the market this year.
Gotcha.
There's been sticky inflation. You look at tariffs and austerity potentially coming from the federal government, so we could see a correction. And we want to make sure that we can maintain these fundamental quality public services. And I think Johnson County understands that prudence.
Last thing, we'll wrap it where we started. Mike Kelly, Johnson County Chairman. Just the rumors, the rumblings with the Royals potentially looking at Johnson County. Do you have, as the leader of the county, a deadline, whether it's a hard one or a soft one in mind, or would you say you're following the team's lead on this?
So, no, I'm not driving the conversation. Overall, at the end of the day, this is the Royals or the Chiefs' decision to make. Pete, I'm happy to support them, and I'm going to support them, whatever decision they make, as long as they stay here in the metro region and I can take my kids to games for years to come.
Yeah. Well, I think we all agree on that front. Mike Kelly, Johnson County Chairman on KCMO. Thank you, as always, for the time, Mike. We'd love to have you back when, we get clarity on taxes and budgets and things like that. And we're good to get in the weeds here, man. We got a high-level audience here, so we're happy to do it.
Pete, I appreciate that you bring the heat and the good questions, and I'm happy to come back whenever you invite me.
All right. Thank you very much to Mike Kelly, Johnson County Chairman on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.